Good afternoon. How is everybody doing today? Good. All right. Well, today I'm calling a meeting as the farm manager. I'm calling a meeting because we're getting a new piece of equipment in, and it's going to be a no-till planter. It's going to be a John Deere model 1590, and we're going to use this out here on the farm to plant our row crops, our soybeans, corn, grains. We'll be able to run through it and plant. And the reason we're going to test this out is it's no-till, which means we're going to be able to use it and not have to disc in front of it. So we're going to help the environment. It wasn't going to tear up the soil as much, and we'll be able to be less work the fields and save time also because we won't have to do anything to the ground before we plant. I'm going to give each one of you a handout that I have here that shows the setup, the operation, and the maintenance of it, and some pictures of it as well. So you can kind of look and see, and if you have any questions, you can call me or refer back to it at any part of using the planner. The first thing on this handout you'll see is some pictures. You'll see different sections of setting up, operating, and also maintenance. So these different things you need to look at before you run the planner. Make sure you know what you're doing. Setting up is pretty simple, about like any other piece of equipment that hooks up with a 3-point hitch, which I'm sure many of you know. Most of our equipment does that. You just hook the two pins and then the top pin, and it's ready to go. The hydraulics hook up the same way. On the back of the tractor, you're gonna have your hoses for your vacuum lines for planting and running your folds. So you're gonna hook up those hydraulics. Your computer lines, whoever gets to use it first or hooks it up first would have to run the new uh, computer lines inside the tractor and hook them up to the monitors and also the monitor that comes with the planter. You're also going to need to calibrate it once you set it up. So you can see I've got these things listed here. In calibration, what you do for calibrating is you're going to get into it before you even actually get into the field. You're going to drive a certain distance at a certain speed, and you're going to see how much at the vacuum pressure, how much seed drops out from the planter. And what you'll be able to do with that is take those numbers and plug them into the computer once you have those lines run and the computer set up inside of the tractor and adjust for, depending on what you're planting, soybeans, corn, any of your grains, cover crops for ryegrass or, any type of crop that you might be planting. And those need to be adjusted for, any crop that you are planting. So, you need to calibrate it and you'll have to do it again for every other crop that you do plant. As far as operation goes, you'll need to look at the hydraulics. They're inside on the hydraulic hookups once you hook up the lines to the tractor. So you're going to have 3 controls. And I've got them listed on the handout that I'm going to give you. The first control is your vacuum. The second control is your lift. And the third will be your fold of the planter. So it does fold up on the 2 outside wings up so you can drive it down the road or if you're moving in a tight space or parking it under the shelter. Also with operation, once you run it for just a few minutes, you need to inspect for the seed depth and the planting width. After you run it for a little while, you can get out and check that out. As you can see there, I've got it written down. You also need to look at your consistency percentage, which will be looked at the monitor. All this stuff can be seen on the monitor, your depth, your consistency as far as the seed that's putting out and the correct amount that it is putting out. It's not putting out too much or not enough. You need to make sure it's running efficient. So you would go a little ways in the field, get out, look behind it, scrape and see where the seeds are being put in the ground and how far apart it is, and also how wide the rows are. And all this can be changed in the computers. Your auto steer operations would also need to be hooked up to this new planter. And after the first person does it, it should be set up for anybody else that uses it. I've got it listed there that needs to be done in operation. So you can always go back and look at this handout and make sure you're doing everything correctly. But this auto steer will need to be hooked up just like any other tractor. And once it's connected to this planter, it knows how wide it is, how far it is behind the tractor, and it'll be able to drive that tractor exactly where it needs to plant exactly where you have it set up to. As far as maintenance goes, it's no different than most of the other equipment that we have. Our old planter or any of our disc or everything, it's going to have spots that there's going to need to be greased. So you'll need to run through that, hit all the grease fittings, probably about every 50 hours is what's recommended. It is going to be pretty low maintenance. It is a newer, model, so the bearings are going to be sealed bearings, and you won't have to really replace those any But you will have to check vacuum lines before each use and after each use. Make sure there's no holes or damage or anything stopped up in them. And I've got a list of all the maintenance that you need to do to it. But you can also run through these lines. Every time you get out, maybe to check behind the planter for your depth and everything, you can look over the lines and make sure that those are good too. I mean, obviously you need to do them before and after each use, but they can be constantly checked over. A good general visual inspection is also needed to be done, just of any parts that may be broken or not functioning correctly. Chains or any kind of moving rollers or bearings could go bad even though they're sealed. So those need to be checked also, and those can be visually inspected inside the tractor while you're operating. So you also can see the pictures on your handout that'll help you get a good idea of how to go around and do these different things as far as setting up operation and maintenance and what it all needs to look like. Like you can see the inside of the computers, and I don't know how well you can see that, but this is just a good thing to hold on to, and it'll tell you anything that you might need or have a question about. So I wanted to give it to you and give you a good rundown on what we're going to be using this planter for and how it should function. And if you have any questions, you can contact me, the farm manager at Andrew Ingram, at 919-321-7654. And it's also written at the bottom of this handout. So if you have any questions, you can just look on there and give me a call. You can see that there. So if there's no questions, I just want to give you the rundown. Thanks for coming and let me call this meeting and explain to you how to operate this, and it should be a good year planting with it. Thank you.